Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the transit Mars in Taurus. Well, first thing I find what's interesting about this transit, okay, when Mars enters Taurus, of course, it is leaving Aries. Or transition is made from Mars in Aries to Mars in Taurus. When Mars was in Aries, it was a lot of more impulsive, impetuous, reckless energy. You may be more inclined to have accidents on the road because of this, as far as this transit goes, because there's just a lot of impulsive type movements, and it's really not really premeditative. And when you have Mars in Taurus, well, you have a little bit more premeditation in action. There's a lot more forethought before doing something. And Taurus energy, I mean, I should know, having Taurus rising, of course. Taurus rising is just, it's very premeditative, and Taurus energy is very methodical, deliberate, and plotting. And during this transit collectively, could be about people, when they make a move, wanting it to make sure that it accomplishes something. And often this is about things that are enduring. It's about longevity, whether it's making people working and making some vacuum cleaner that's very durable, that lasts a long time. I think this transit could be favorable for people that make things that last for a good period, whether it's a vacuum cleaner or it's an automobile, something where this is about persistent and tenacious energy. During this transit, it could be where people collectively may take a little bit longer to decide a course of action, but when they do, they're not as likely to reverse the decision or go back on whatever it was that he or she said they were going to do, because Taurus, of course, is a fixed sign. Taurus can be very intractable, intransigent, and just downright obstinate and stubborn. Taurus energy is like being easygoing to a certain degree, and then, however, when the foot is planted, it's unwavering. This could be also a period where it could be auspicious and favorable for people that are doing things that can be perhaps somewhat tedious or time consuming. It could even be for general laborers, and like, say, in retail, somebody that's doing like a new layout for a store and doing work involved in it. Well, a lot of it, I think, is when you look at Mars transiting Aries. I mean, Mars in Aries can often be about, I believe, like the initiation of something, the beginning of a project, and Taurus kind of consummates it or culminates. It often ends, I think, with Mars transiting Taurus. It reaches a culmination, and Taurus and Aries, I mean, are very, even though they're adjacent signs, in certain ways they're very opposite. And I think as far as the energy goes, they can be. Aries energy moves, I mean, can move in quick spurts, but it's not as sustained as Taurus. Taurus takes a long time to start something, but is very good at finishing the job. And this is also could be favorable for people that are involved in something that requires endurance. It could even be a sport such as like marathon running, or somebody working out with weights, somebody that's involved in some kind of a program, or they're in some job that requires a lot of physical endurance. I see this as a favorable transit for that. And keep in mind that Mars is not just about our energy and vitality. Mars is also about sex. So during this time, you could have a lot more, perhaps, patience with the sexual partner. It could be that maybe you're attracted sexually to somebody that may, in some cases, could be Taurus, but somebody that embodies Taurus-like characteristics, somebody that's persistent, loyal, steadfast, that really is very practical and pragmatic, very methodical, somebody that when they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it, someone very reliable. And also during, I think it's interesting, this transit, the next time Mars transits Taurus, it'll be between March 10th, 2017 and April 21st of 2017. And during this time in the United States, you have a period where people are filing their taxes, and you'll have a lot of people doing that during this interval. And there's a lot of, I think, when you have Mars transiting Taurus, there's a lot of action and activity connected with things of a monetary nature. And during this time, too, you might see more activity connected with financial institutions, banks, people trying to formulate some plans to make money. The danger, I think, is maybe getting involved in some kind of get-rich-quick scheme during this time, and trying to put all this energy, maybe more than needed, into trying to increase revenue. And just, it's really, but that being said, Taurus is a sign that is very prudent, very cautious, and very premeditative. So you got to factor that into the equation as well. Well, and one last thing I want to get at is that Mars is connected also with combat and war, and could be, when Mars is transiting Taurus, people could have more patience when dealing with their adversaries than usual, won't get really upset that quickly. But as we know about Taurus, it's very, anger could be very slow and progressive, and when it builds up, it can really explode and become volatile once it's suppressed for a certain amount of time. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the transit Mars in Taurus. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be talking about the transit Mars in Gemini. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.